Welcome to Reddit Blue Pill Red Pill, where we go over Reddit stories and predict the outcome of the stories. Please listen and play along by typing in your choices into the comments. There are 5 seconds to answer, or you can pause the video. Today we have a story about a man who feels his wife's family asks for too many favors. All right, let's get on to the story.
I, male 35, have been married 7 years, together 11, with my wife, female 35. We have 2 kids, male 4, female 2. My wife's sister, Iana, 32, has a daughter, Siana, 2, with her ex, Iago. We are Siana's godparents. When Siana was born, Iana asked my wife, then a stay-at-home mom, to watch her once a week for 3 months. It quickly expanded to 3 days weekly with late pickups. During that time, Iana vented about Iago's financial issues, constant job changes, he even worked briefly for me, disappearing for hours, and later I learned he used drugs. Eventually they divorced and Iago left. Iana and Siana moved in with my in-laws, who live next door to us.
The OP is married with 2 young kids. His wife's sister has been asking for help taking care of her young daughter since the father is not a responsible parent and the sister is basically a single mother by this point. It is understandable to want to help your siblings, especially when it involves children, but the sister has increased the time asked to take care of her child, which can be hard when you have 2 young kids of your own. What do you think? If you think the OP is right to be mad that his wife's sister is continuously asking for more and more free childcare, type Q1 red into the comments. If you think that family has to be helped no matter what, type Q1 blue.
Since then, my wife and I constantly end up caring for Siana, often daily, while when we ask for help with our own kids, my in-laws or Iana refuse or complicate things. Examples. They drop Siana at our place even when they're home. They joke that I'm Siana's real father. Iana tells Siana to ask us for baths or to go home with us. They push us to put our kids in Siana's school, so I handle all school runs. Iana leaves Siana with her housekeeper without asking. When we need help, they complain or demand we return early.
Helping should go both ways. It's only fair. If the sister is constantly asking for help with childcare, then she needs to reciprocate when the OP and his wife need help with their own kids. I also find it disturbing that the sister doesn't even ask for help. She just sends her child to the OP's house or drops her off with their housekeeper like that's part of the housekeeper's job. But in all of this, we don't get additional details about the sister. Is she asking for childcare help for legitimate reasons? Maybe she needs to go to work and her job hours conflict with the time she can care for her child and needs the OP's help. Would that make a difference to you? If you think the OP is right and the sister is being far too pushy asking for childcare help, type Q2 red in the comments. If you think the OP and wife should help if the sister has legitimate reasons why she needs to drop off her child, like for work, type Q2 blue.
Other issues. When we lived in a small apartment behind my in-laws' house to save money, we had to fix all problems ourselves. Once Iana hinted she might move there, my father-in-law renovated it fully, making it nicer than when my family lived there. We're finally planning our dream Japan trip. My in-laws agreed to watch our kids, but my wife is anxious since they usually just leave them on TV. She suggested activities to help, but Iana dismissed her with, "You're going because you want to," and keeps making negative comments. Recently, we borrowed my in-laws' car and planned to pick up our kids first, then Siana. Iana complained about the timing, and my father-in-law sided with her. I got so frustrated, I returned the car and decided not to handle Siana's school runs anymore.
Now the OP is also complaining about the extra help the sister gets from his in-laws compared to the help they gave him and his wife. The OP states that he had to cover all maintenance expenses while they lived at their in-laws' rental home. But when the sister moved, the in-laws renovated and fixed everything beforehand just for the sister. Could this discrepancy be because the sister is a single mother while the OP is the man of his household and he should have the responsibility to take care of maintenance for his own family? I could see the in-laws having this old school thinking. The OP and his wife have planned a trip to Japan, and just before the trip, things seem to be unraveling with the sister and in-laws. This could not have come at a worse time. But it seems the OP has had enough and couldn't contain his frustration. What do you think? Should the OP apologize considering the in-laws are taking care of his kids for 2 weeks, which is no small task? If so, type Q3 blue in the comments. If you think the OP was justified in showing his frustration and should not apologize, type Q3 red. Now my wife and I argue. I want her to stop solving all her sister's problems. For example, Iana missed a school paperwork deadline, and instead of letting her handle it, my wife went to the school herself, and is even going back with Iana to fix it. I feel Iana is 32 and refuses to take responsibility, leaning on my wife for everything. What frustrates me most is that when my wife had issues with my mom, I set firm limits as she asked. Now that I ask her to set boundaries with her family, she struggles. She has tried, but they push until she gives in. With our trip coming, I feel trapped. We need their help, but it feels one-sided. The OP writes that when his wife had issues with his own parents, he sided with her and set limits on what his own parents could ask of them. Now that the shoe is on the other foot, his wife struggles to set the limits the OP wants of her. But with the families living so close and helping each other so often, it may be harder for his wife to set the limits the OP wants of her. But just as the OP is asking his wife to set firmer limits of what her family demands of them, isn't it hypocritical for the OP to ask his wife's family for the favor of looking after his own kids for 2 whole weeks? Shouldn't he be the one setting the example of being more independent of his wife's family when he and his wife are asking for a major favor themselves? There are no questions here, so let's continue with the story. I feel we've always helped Iana, yet she doesn't recognize it and behaves like it's our obligation. Meanwhile, when we need help, there's little reciprocation. Am I the asshole for wanting my wife to stop constantly helping her sister and to set firmer boundaries with her family? Now it's time to come to the final decision. The OP feels his wife's family asks for their help far more than they ask help from them. In addition, when they ask for help, the sister whines and complains. But doesn't the OP whine and complain himself? Or is his complaining justified? Asking the sister to take more care of her own daughter is completely fair, and she needs to be more independent, because situations can change quickly and you never know when you have to be the one to take care of everything yourself. If you side with the OP asking his wife to set firmer limits with her family, type Q4 red in the comments. If you feel his wife's family is not asking that much, especially considering they are going to be taking care of the OP's kids for 2 whole weeks, type Q4 blue. Now let's listen to a few comments.
Don't spend money on Japan. Take that money and move. Not the a-hole. If your wife's not willing to establish boundaries, tell her that you will do so. She's so used to being treated like a doormat that it seems she's forgetting that her actions also have impacts on you and your own children. By the way, hire babysitters for yourselves. Neither your sister-in-law nor the parents should be allowed to babysit for you, nor to be in any situation where they are alone with and supervising your children. They have all demonstrated, by their treatment of your niece, that they are irresponsible when it comes to caring for children.
You have a wife problem. Was this the life you imagined? If not, I would sit your wife down without the kids or other people present and make it clear that you are done. Either your family moves away, the further the better, or your marriage is on the line. Her priority needs to be you and your 2 kids. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law's kid is not your responsibility. Your wife needs to start setting boundaries with her family. Just because they live close to you does not mean they get to take advantage of you. Instead of relying on her parents, why not let your parents take care of the kids for the Japan trip? I'd also suggest moving away sooner rather than later, or this will just keep getting worse if your wife can't grow a backbone and support you in this.
Not the a-hole, but expecting anything to change after all of these unsuccessful attempts is unrealistic and will only lead to more fighting. Go to Japan, and if you can move a few miles away from your in-laws and the expectations when you get back, the boundaries will be much easier to maintain.
Not the a-hole. Tell your wife you want marital counseling to resolve how you set boundaries with your mom, but she won't with her sister. I'd tell her there are daily impacts on you, and it's very confusing to Ciara because Her mom should be giving her baths, caring for her, taking her to school, etc., not you or your wife. If she refuses, tell her you're not going to be the nanny for your part as you have kids, a job, and other responsibilities, and you don't think it's healthy. Also, that you want to move because being next door means you are the on-call nannies.
Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching all the way to the end and participating. Please consider liking and subscribing to watch future videos. Goodbye.